Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Once again, we are at the final moments of this review video. We are finally on the 1994 Series 11 WWF Hasbro review. Now, I did want to go ahead and do a follow-up video after the conclusion of this video, which is going to look at both prototypes as well as some of the mailways. But there is one mailaway Undertaker figure that I'm waiting on. Now, none of those figures, obviously, prototypes especially, not the prototypes or mailways, none of them are going to be original. I mean, the prices on those are just absolutely ridiculous. So when they do become available, they're just far too expensive. And number two, they're just simply, not as, they're not very popular as far as being listed very often. And people that are actually interested in buying those, I mean, they're like me, they're going to be basically holding on to them for years anyways. So, but yeah, I do want to get that video. I do want to have all the figures available, or at least as many as I could put together. So I'm waiting on the light brown hair of the Undertaker, which is going to be the mailway version. So you're not going to see that video directly after this one. It might be a few weeks, but I'll keep you updated to let you know as soon as you can expect to see that new update. So once again, Series 11, the green card release of Hasbro. Literally the most rare and most expensive figures from the entire line. And there were a lot of really good looking figures in this series. The characters themselves may be very reminiscent to Series 5. As far as the characters, they're not exactly the most elite, talent out there. But I'll kind of harp on a little bit of figures as we go by and let you know who I covet and, give you a little backstory as much as I possibly can. Now, I don't know a lot about really any of these guys. Maybe Yokozuna is probably obviously, the most knowledgeable about. But I'll start with, let's start with Atom Bomb. So Brian Clark, and probably one of very few characters who I actually know their real name. Brian Clark, just like most wrestlers of the day, originated in AWA. AWA ended around 1990, so he was only with them for about a year or so. And then he jumped to like different promotions such as WCW before finally coming into WWF. And I don't remember who his original manager was, but I know eventually Harvey Whippleman was one of those guys. And the whole deal with Atom Bomb is like he was supposed to be in part of like some kind of like nuclear explosion or something like that. So they would put like these little contact lenses in his eyes and whatnot. Later on when he became a good guy, he would throw like these little missiles into the crowd and everything. And those missiles, man, I think they were actually selling those toys back in the day, and I think we actually had some. But those were crazy fun. I remember that much. So Atom Bomb, just like your Crush, your Scott Steiner figures, Mr. Perfect, they just reutilized the same body type on this figure. So I think Atom Bomb, you gotta have him on your top 10 list of best looking figures overall. I mean, that overall radioactive look is just fantastic. Absolutely love the figure. I just don't have a lot of history or knowledge of Atom Bomb. I think he was like a key member, one of the last remaining guys in both the 93 and 94 Royal Rumble. I think it was something like, I don't know, maybe British Bulldog eliminated him, I believe, in like the 93 Rumble. I don't know. I don't know if it was him or if it was Crush, but one of those guys came in one year and were just tossing out everybody. And it may have been Crush that I'm thinking of. And maybe Crush was limited by British Bulldog. Again, I don't have the 93 and 94 Royal Rumbles, but those are two that I'm really desperate to see again because those were, obviously amazing events. And a lot of these guys that I'm talking about now, those matches would have really helped. Sorry I don't have more to talk about with this particular character, but again, the most important thing about these videos is just kind of look at the figure themselves. Backstories are nice, but the review of the action figures. So, Brian Clark. I think the deal with the Atom Bomb was that he wasn't actually getting, like, he was promised like an Intercontinental title run, which never happened. You know, obviously due to travel, you know, lack of pay, the basics, he ended up leaving WWF. Probably came back later, 2000s, whatnot, early 2000, 2001, something like that. But I don't know how long that run went. As like I said, I wasn't really watching wrestling during that time period. But the first of 7 figures that we are reviewing is Atom Bomb. Alright. So, possibly the most important figure from this entire line. Whether you're purchasing this figure loose or on card, loose, this figure could go for $600 to $1,200. On card, you know, depending on who's selling it, can go for upwards of $2,000. And who am I talking about? Sean Waltman's 1-2-3 Kid. Now, 1-2-3 Kid, when he first started off in the WWF, he was more of like your jobber type. So he had several different monikers. And one of them was just simply the Kid. And there was a Raw event that, you know, he was going up against Razor Ramon. For Razor, it should have been an easy victory. But Sean Waltman actually is like a real martial artist in real life. So he did this little backflip off the top of the turnbuckle and was able to knock Razor Ramon over and pin him that way. Hence, 1-2-3 Kid is born. And oddly enough, later on, when Razor Ramon became a good guy, you know, he kind of took 1-2-3 Kid under his wing, and you know, during Survivor Series, SummerSlam matchups, etc., it always seems like they were part of the stable together or tag teams, etc. But Razor Ramon and 1-2-3 Kid were never able to win tag team belts together. But where is he? So Sean Waltman, he was actually a 2-time tag team champion. And one thing I haven't been doing, Nuclear Knockout is the action feature for your Atom Bomb. And 1-2-3 Kid, he came with the 1-2-3 Punch. You know what? That one right there I actually like because it's actually, it fits. The action figure for 1-2-3 Kid, I love the color and detail of this figure. You know, this right here, I don't care about the black and white X-Pac or anything else that he had. This to me is how I will always remember Sean Waltman, is this exact look. The problem with this is this figure could be among the worst figures of the entire Hasbro line, only for the simple fact of this horrible action pose. Ravishing Rick Rude in Series 1, my least favorite Hasbro figure ever, because of that horrible fighting pose. The Series 6 Ric Flair, he's back on my top 10 list. I forget where, probably number 8 or somewhere around there, because of that action pose. 1-2-3 Kid would probably not be on my top 10 or top 15, top 20 of least favorite, only because of the overall design of the figure. But the pose itself, it's an unplayable figure, and I hate that, because this wouldn't, if I was a kid and I had this, I would absolutely die to be using the 1-2-3 Kid. So Sean Waltman actually did have a title run with Marty Jannetty, and it's so awesome to get Marty some belts, man. He deserved it. I think the WWF just kind of screwed him over because they kept leaning towards Shawn Michaels the entire time. But he did win a title belt with 1-2-3 Kid. Later on, Sparkplug Bobby Holly, he won a tag team belt with 1-2-3 Kid as well. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they dropped those belts to like the Smoking Guns probably like a day or so later. I'm not going to talk about his WCW days. I didn't watch WCW. I don't know about 6, or later on I think it's like ACW, or maybe it was WWF. I think I heard the name, what do you call it, X-Pack, X 6-pack, I don't know, 6-pack, something like that, using the whole 6 SYXX pack, PAC. So X-Pack and 6 in 1, 6-pack. Stupid, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. Let's see, what else do we got? Now, as X-Pac, he was in one of the most one of the most odd pairings ever. I always said that Razor Ramon and Ric Flair was, like, in my opinion, one of the most odd combinations of characters. And 1, 2, 3 Kid, he was a 2-time tag team champion with Kane as X-Pac. So that's 4 tag team belts right there. So, of course, latter half in the 90s, what's going to happen? He's friends with, Diesel and Razor Ramon. So when they jump ship, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman joined them for that as well, to be part of the New World Order for WCW. Can't talk about any about that stuff because I had no idea what was going on over there. There was a couple belts either in WWF or actually I think it was in both WWF and WCW that he had, and it was like one of those what do I call them, like lightweight belts or cruiserweight belts, something like that. I know about that he got those titles as well. I don't exactly know the names. Again, for me, I've said it plenty. There's only 3 belts in my life that I will ever recognize. So when we start throwing all this additional stuff out, it's confusing and I don't like it. So, but that is the Sean Waltman Hasbro figure. Let's go to Evil Crush. So Evil Crush, or the Kona Crush from Series 7. They both have the same background here. That doesn't really change. What kind of... You know what? I'm looking at this because the loose figure... I bought the card, and then I took my loose figure and I put it inside because the bubble and card came together. But I don't even think that is a Series 11. Yeah, it has to be. Because when you look at the picture, you actually see Purple Crush there. The reason it's kind of throwing me off, though, is it says Kona Crusher. I'd have to look at Series 7 and see if it said the same thing. So I don't have the loose figure anymore. Like I said, my loose Crush, I put inside this package. So for the sake of this video, I am going to pull out my custom Crush figure. I mean, it's relatively the same. I mean, obviously, you're going to show some differences. So, this is the original, and this is the custom. So, Evil Crush, Purple Crush, whatever you want to call him. There are a couple things that kind of led him to this moment. So, one of those things was him turning on Macho Man. So we know on the USS Intrepid, the decommissioned boat that had the body slam competition going on in 1993. Well, it was Macho Man who kind of spurred Crush on to kind of participate in that matchup, and I think he was actually injured while trying to lift, Yokozuna up, and obviously not being able to body slam him, I'm pretty sure that was an embarrassment as well. Just like it was for anyone else who participated in that tournament. So, still billed from Hawaii. I think it was Kona, Hawaii, if that's a real place. I don't know. He ended up joining forces with Mr. Fuji, became heel, and as much as I love the Series 7 Kona Crush, the Series 11 is just so remarkable. And between the Ludwig Borga, between Atom Bomb, and Ludwig Borga is not even on top 10, and that's an amazing figure. But Atom Bomb and Evil Crush are both top 10 action figures for me. Yokozuna is in this series, even though I put Series 8 Yokozuna as my number 1, with the white and black Yoko from number 11, Series 11 in my my special mention type of deal. I didn't bring it down. You know what? I'm going to pause the video because there's one figure I want to show. It's not Hasbro, but it's something that I think is important to include with this particular character. So I'm going to pause and be back in a split second. Alright guys, I'm sorry about pausing mid-video. But I bought this one, I think it was probably a good year, maybe a year and a half ago. And I didn't know anything about this interpretation of Crush. So it's a custom figure, but it's really awesome, and I figured I'd include it while talking about the Crush character. And again, coming from Kona, Hawaii, is the Nation of Domination version of Crush. And something about DOA, I'm not even sure what DOA stands for. Disciples of, I don't know. I think Disciples at least made up the D. And I'm trying to look at this card to see if it says anything about it, but it does not. But, you know, good looking figure. I don't know whose body type they took from here. But, you know, if you were to actually open up this package, you know, I think it would have a working action, Heart Punch. So, why do they have this 4th iteration of Kona Crush, or of Crush? Well, as we already know, we had Demolition Crush in Series 2, we had Kona Crush in Series 7, and then we're back to Evil Crush, or Heel Crush in Series 11. Again, that figure we just looked at, not original custom figure, but so Crush actually was in prison for like drug use. I think he was actually trying to buy like steroids or something, and so he came back to the WWF maybe a year or so later, 96 I want to say, I could be wrong, and he was more of like this biker guy, you know, part of like a biker gang, and that's where the DOA and, you know, the Nation of Domination and stuff like that comes into play. As far as feuds and stuff like that, I really couldn't say. I don't even remember that guy myself, so maybe it was even later on than I thought. But I know about the Kona Crush, obviously Demolition Crush from childhood. I remember this guy from childhood. That version I know nothing about, unfortunately, but I just wanted to show it because I thought it was a nifty little figure, and I like to give shout outs and kind of review certain things I bought, and I never did review on that figure, so, you know, no time like the present to kind of bring something up. Alright, so I'm kind of going back and forth to guys that I have very little history on before I get into the figures that have a little bit more knowledge. From Finland, we have Ludwig Borga. So, even though I kind of remember this guy, and I said in my first video, one of the first things I mentioned was the great thing about Hasbro is I remember every single character that was released in this line. Ludwig Borga, when I was first getting back into collecting Hasbros a couple years ago, I heard that name, I'm like, who the heck is Ludwig Borga? I did not remember anything until I caught, you know, this figure. I don't know if I saw the video first or if I saw the figure first, but I was watching YouTube, you know, one of his matchups, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that guy looks familiar. Probably would never forgotten his name, but at least I could say, yeah, I remember him pretty well. Well, not pretty well, but well enough. Ludwig Borga, the biggest highlight that I can remember of this guy is, you know, him bashing that chair over Tatanka to end Tatanka's winning streak. There was a bunch of, like, you know, foreign wrestlers, Yokozuna, you know, as being billed from Japan. There was Ludwig Borga as being billed from Finland. I think the Quebecers were on there as well, if I'm not mistaken. There's probably one or two other guys, and I forget what their name was called, but again, that Survivor Series were like 5-on-5 type of deal. That's like the only kind of thing that I can remember about him. I don't have a lot of history of Ludwig Borga. I don't have a lot to talk about. This figure comes with the Finland finisher. And it's just one of, my favorite poses from the Hasbro line. A very simple figure, nothing super crazy. And it's just, like your Hulk Hogan Series 1 Gorilla. Again, I call them all Gorilla Press. One figure's called Gorilla Press, you might as well call them all. It's the same thing. But Ludwig Borga is a top 15, maybe a top 20 at worst action figure. If I couldn't find this guy in the top 20, I'd be surprised. I mean, this is an absolute beauty. And as a matter of fact, when I had just gotten this one in towards the last quarter of 2021, and nope, I'm wrong. I probably got this one in shortly before I started creating my YouTube channel. So I opened it up in February. I started posting my first videos in March. And so probably around April or so of 2022 is when I did my top 10 favorite figures. And I kind of gave a special mention of this figure before I started talking about those. And I'm like, you know what? I'm mad that I have this awesome piece and I can't include him on my top 10 list. But that is Ludwig Borga. And I know, guys, I'm going through this a little bit fast, but this being the most recent, or at a point where I was older in life, you would think that I would remember some of these guys a little bit better than others, but it doesn't seem to have worked out that way. Like, I have more knowledge of some of the guys from like Series 1 than I do from Series 11. And you're talking 5 years old compared to 9 years old, so it's kind of weird how that works out. Alright, who do we go? Let's go with one of my favorite characters ever, the Series 11 Yokozuna. As I said, Series 8 with red and black was my favorite, action figure from Hasbro, with a special shout out to the Series 11. Obviously, if you're looking for this figure, you're going to have to go with the Series 11 because you're talking about a $75 figure from Series 8 to about a $150 figure from Series 11. So, that you got to keep that in mind. And that's loose. I mean, on card, $200 to $300 for the red card. Well, maybe not $300, about $200 should be fair. $250, somewhere in that range. Whereas this one will hover anywhere between $250 to $400. So, same exact information that you would probably would have said back in Series 8. Where is he? Alright. So, Yokozuna, Series 11, same thing. Has a little sumo, what do they call it? Sumo smash. This guy's a little bit too big, can't really fit these belts around him. And what do I talk about? They always put these stupid little stickers with the Velcro on, and they don't even stick to the belt. That's why I hate these things. Drives me nuts. There really isn't much more information I could talk about with Yokozuna, because anytime I've talked about him or I've talked about like matches or whatnot, that was with other wrestlers. So I guess I could give a recap. Part of the NOE family, there was Brock Lesnar and I think Sheamus among the modern day wrestlers. Are guys that had quicker pushes than Yokozuna. At one point, Yokozuna was the most successful wrestler from the Wild Samoan family, from the NOE family. He was already a 1993 Royal Rumble champion. He won, I think it was at WrestleMania 9. Was it WrestleMania 9? So he defeated Bret Hart, I know that. I think it was WrestleMania 9. And then I think that's where Hulk Hogan comes up, so the thing was, Mr. Fuji, he always carried like these little buckets with rice, and they would throw the rice in Bret Hart's face, and it would allow Yokozuna to drop the leg on him and pin him. He was about to submit in the sharpshooter, So with your superstars, you always got to cheat to beat them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was WrestleMania 9. Hulk Hogan comes out, decked out in all red. Bret Hart is waving him into the ring because Mr. Fuji and Yokozuna were basically, calling him, challenging him. And Hogan pins him in a matter of seconds and is able to recapture his belt. And then later on, I think it was like King of the Ring or something, where Hulk Hogan and Yokozuna are doing battle. And then you've got this photographer sitting out in the crowd with, all these other, Japanese reporters and whatnot. And so this photographer comes and he jumps on the ring. Hulk Hogan, for whatever reason, decides it's a good idea to go attack him. And then you just see this ball of fire to shoot out and blind him, get, all up in his face. Yokozuna attacks, drops a leg on him, bam, recaptures his title. So at that point, he was already a 2-time heavyweight champion, freaking Royal Rumble champion. Later on, he tag teamed with Owen Hart and won 2 titles, to include winning the belts from Billy and Bart Gunn, and that was the end of their 3rd title run. So the Yokozuna figure, like I said, in of itself, the #1 most perfect Hasbro figure. So many things I love about this figure. Design, everything, flawless. You can't give a Bam Bam Bigelow or an Earthquake or a Typhoon body type to Yokozuna. He started off at like 500 pounds and just ballooned to like 550 and then hover around 600 pounds. So you had to give him his own body mold. Give him this great pose, arms spread apart far enough, obviously because of, his midsection and everything. He always did these bonsai drops off the rope, so when you actually see this figure, you kind of put some underneath them for the bonsai drop. I mentioned this with the Series 8 figure. It kind of gives that perfect, seated position type of deal. So this was just an absolutely gorgeous piece. Flawlessly made in all aspects. And Series 9 with Jim Duggan, the American Jim Duggan, they had this thing where if you knock Yokozuna off his feet, that wrestler would win the match. So it was actually a pre-taped matchup between Jim Duggan and Yokozuna, and Jim Duggan had knocked him off his feet to win the match, but like I said, pre-taped. So at the time, in the Royal Rumble, I think it was Macho Man, if I'm not mistaken, who actually knocked Yokozuna off his feet briefly in the '93 Royal Rumble. So later on, when they had this matchup where knock me off my feet, you win. It's already been done, but Jim Duggan, he did it. He was victorious. Of course, Yokozuna not gonna be happy about losing. He's gonna attack Jim Duggan. He's gonna drop like 4 bonsai drops on him. Basically break his ribs or whatever, or a sternum or something, and lay Jim Duggan out for like 4 months. And Yokozuna, I think he was part of that. I think I mentioned already. I could be wrong. Part of that group. So Yokozuna, it was I think the Quebecers. I could be wrong. And who am I missing? Ludwig Borga. If there were others, I don't remember. And I think they went against like the Americans. Like The Undertaker, I get it, but, American wrestler, but I just don't see, like, The Undertaker kind of fitting that mold, And I'm pretty sure Jim Duggan was in there as well. I'm trying to think who else would have been part of that group. But, Yokozuna, man, this is so amazing. He died in 2000 while in Japan wrestling, and not only to die overseas, away from your family, but he was like 34 years old, a very young man, and it was heartbreaking. So that is the Yokozuna action figure. All right, who is next? All right, so the last figures we're going to be looking at include the smoking guns. So we will start off with Bart Gunn. And kind of a odd thing. So first, I've already said before, when I hear a wrestler's name, I always think that's their actual name, right? I had no reason to believe that, Randy Savage wasn't Randy Savage. Same thing with the smoking guns. I had no reason to believe that Billy and Bart Gunn weren't real life brothers, and that wasn't their, their names. So, but Billy and Bart Gunn, again, it's a stage name. They're not actually related. I don't remember what their real life names were. I think in the middle half of like the 90s or whatnot, they had Sonny as their manager, and that kind of caused them to kind of separate from each other. But kind of backtrack a little bit. So, what I like about this figure, many things. I love the extra clothing accessories built onto the figure. Built-on hat with so many other figures in the Hasbro line. You would completely lose that accessory if it was removable. So I'm glad they do the build-on with guys like Shango and Undertaker, etc. So that is an awesome piece. Bart Gunn comes with Rodeo Roundhouse. Now I don't have the loose figure. Again, just like the Crush figure, 1, 2, 3 Kid, and I think Atom Bomb maybe. No, Atom Bomb looks pretty on there, but I think both Smoking Guns and 1, 2, 3 Kid and Crush definitely. I had to buy the bubble and card individually because I had the figures, but I didn't have any carded figures. And I found a seller that was selling, just the card and bubble. I'm like, heck yeah. You want to get this on card originally, mint on card, you're going to pay about $400 for it. So I had a figure. I'm like, you know what? I'll spend $75 for the bubble and card and just tape it down or, glue it down, whatnot, and put it MOC that way. But at that stage, it's not really mint on card anymore, but, you get what I'm trying to say. So my only loose Bart Gunn is inside here. And, he just has like the same Razor Ramon body type, etc. You spin back, bam, you got the little punch. Right extended arm opens up. Overall, great looking figure. Really like this one. Should be a top 20 figure. A long while ago, I was doing my favorite LJN figures in order. So last year I did a top 10 of my most favorite, and then I came back 6 months later or something, and I did 11 through 20, and I actually did 11 through 40, 3 different videos, and the 21 through 30, 31 through 40 didn't save properly, so I just kind of lost my motivation to keep doing those videos. But once I completed my last LJN tournament, I posted that video that I made, a few months prior with the 11 through 20. So I'm thinking one day I might do the same thing with the Hasbro. Kind of look at every single figure and put them in order of how I like them. But I'm going to miss a figure somewhere. It's going to happen. So a figure that should have been number 22 would end up being number 47 because I would have omitted it somewhere. So kind of hard to really put these figures in order like that. Top 10 was difficult enough, but trying to break it down even further. Alright. Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn, another built-on hat. Love it. Not as nice as Bart because Bart has the better fighting pose and he's got, with the vest, a little nice, more additional clothing. But it's still a beautiful figure. Billy Gunn comes with Cowboy Clobber. Again, that one makes sense because of the arm punching motion. And do I have a loose Billy Gunn? I don't. I could have sworn... Oh, here's one. I think this one might actually be a custom, but that's okay. Billy Gunn. And all he does, again, like Jake Roberts from Series 1 and a bunch of other figures. Papa Shango from Series 6, Hulk Hogan from Series 5, etc. Good looking figure. Is he a top 20, top 25? Maybe not. Maybe in the top 40, top 50, possibly. I mean, I think that the pants and boots really make it, stand out with the hat. So, overall, solid figure. Alright, so what are we looking at for Smoking Guns? I had to write down a few notes about these guys because I remember watching them wrestle as a kid. They obviously weren't that important to me as a kid to the point where I remember a bunch of information about them. So, again, with certain people, I'm going to have to do some research and kind of learn a little bit more about them. I talked about researching the Crush character because I just don't remember a whole lot about him either. So, Smoking Guns, this is some of the highlights I took down. Three-time tag team champions. They defeated, obviously, Bobby Holly and the 1-2-3 Kid to win their title belts. They later on, and that was in January of '95. Later on, they would lose their belts to Yokozuna and Owen Hart, and I mentioned that as well. Let's see. So that in 1996, Billy, he had neck surgery, so they had to basically relinquish their tag team belts without actually losing to anybody. So that kind of sucked. So on the third time, they did defeat the Godwins for the third title. And then in September of '96, I said Owen Hart was like a three-time heavyweight champion, four-time heavyweight or not heavyweight champion, four-time tag team champion. Well, in September of '96, British Bulldog Owen Hart, costing the Smoking Guns their third run as tag team champions. And like I said, once Sonny became their manager, they became much more aggressive and whatnot. So they basically moved from faces to heels and whatnot. And I think they broke up shortly thereafter. And Billy Gunn, I've heard the name B.A. Billy Gunn, but I'm not familiar with that character. And I've seen him in videos, and he don't look anything like what he used to. He cut his hair, shaved off his mustache, where Bart Gunn kept all of his, and they just didn't work well anymore. One of the things I find interesting about the Smoking Guns, so in AWA days, you had the Long Riders, and as a matter of fact, and I don't think there's any relation between the Long Riders from AWA to the Smoking Guns at WWF. They're definitely not the same tag teams or anything, but the Smoking Guns did go by the name Long Riders as well, so I always thought that was really fascinating. In a nutshell, that is the 11 series of Hasbro, and I really enjoyed making the last two videos. This video I didn't have as much information, unfortunately, and it still took me 37 minutes to get through it, so maybe that's a blessing because I would have basically created an hour-long video otherwise. 7 figures. Did I miss anybody? Adam Bomb, 1-2-3 Kid, Bart Gunn, Yokozuna, Billy Gunn, Ludwig Borga, and Evil Crush. Well, guys, I think the next videos I really want to dive into. So I'm going to give the review videos a break for a little bit. I've been getting all these AWA Rumco customs in. I want to do a My Favorite AWA Rumco tournament. After all, I wouldn't be me without doing some kind of tournament style video. So right now I've got about 20, I want to say about 23 or so customs to go along with another 30 plus original figures loose. I'm only going to look at my loose figures. So like Precious, obviously I have her as part of a 3-pack, but I don't have her as an individual figure. So if I don't have them loose or individual, obviously I can't include them, and I won't include the box set. So and I got another, I think, 13 figures coming in the mail that should be arriving, I think, tomorrow. Well, tomorrow for me. Today's date is Friday. My eyes are terrible. I gotta get all up in there. Friday, August 11th. So they'll be arriving on Saturday the 12th, and this video will probably be posted sometime around the 16th or something. 14th. Yeah, I think August 14th sounds about right. And so anything else from one of my favorite customizers of AWA Rumcos, Steelers 12, because he lists his stuff in like 10-day increments. He keeps putting up all these amazing figures, so I kind of have to wait to kind of like send an invoice to purchase those figures. So basically, I just purchase one mass lot, like probably once a month or so. But he's got some amazing stuff on there. If you guys are ever interested, I definitely recommend checking him out. And I should have another half dozen figures coming from him, probably closer to 10 figures by the time I'm ready to have them to pay for and ship them out. So we're going to have a nice abundance of Remco figures to take a look at. So I think it's going to be a really, fun and amazing tournament. I don't know if I'm going to do backstories in those videos or if I'm simply just going to look at, because they all have the same poses, clothing, accessories being the main, the main change. But I'll try to incorporate a little bit extra here and there where I can. Hopefully they don't last like 20-30 minutes. I want to get those done probably on back-to-back days. So if I'm looking at like 15-minute videos, I think that should make things really easily on the viewers. But guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your viewership and your comments and everything. You guys are awesome. I will talk to you later. Goodbye for now, guys.